The Dynamic Learning Maps Alternate Assessment System is a new assessment designed to more validly measure what students with significant cognitive disabilities know and can do. This presentation will provide information about supporting students with significant cognitive disabilities in developing ideas and preparing them for presentations. This module, Strategies and Formats for Presenting Ideas, is one of a series that supports teachers of students with significant cognitive disabilities in their efforts to teach and assess more effectively. Sponsored by a grant from the U.S. Department of Education, Office of Special Education Programs, this training is part of the professional development efforts of the Dynamic Learning Maps Alternate Assessment Consortium. In this module, you will learn about strategies to support students with significant cognitive disabilities in selecting topics and developing presentations about them, while interacting and collaborating with others. This module will also include information about the use of audio, visual, and tactual supports to enhance presentations. The Dynamic Learning Maps English Language Arts Claim 4 is that students can engage in research or inquiry to investigate topics and present information. This claim encompasses the ability to interact and collaborate with others, as well as the ability to use technology and digital media to support understanding and add interest to presentations. While this is not assessed directly in the DLM alternate assessment, building skills in collaboration, communication, and the thoughtful use of technology will help students develop the kind of language and thinking skills that are assessed directly in the DLM alternate assessment. Working on these skills while writing and preparing presentations provides a rich and meaningful context in which both language and learning can occur. Presentations can involve sharing a personal experience or information gathered through research, an argument for or against something, or a narrative of real or imagined events. To understand how to support development of these presentation types, make sure to complete the modules that address writing information texts, writing arguments, and narrative writing. Many of the strategies used to support writing will be helpful when teaching students to present ideas. As you are well aware, collaborating with others to prepare a presentation can be a difficult task for many students with significant cognitive disabilities. There are several reasons for this, including the fact that all students with significant cognitive disabilities have language impairments. This is part of the definition of a significant cognitive disability. As such, language, understanding, and use is always a consideration. About 1/3 of all students with significant cognitive disabilities also have complex communication needs that prevent them from using speech to communicate. Also, some students with significant cognitive disabilities have learned to be passive. Perhaps they think that either they don't know or have no information to contribute. Finally, some students with significant cognitive disabilities have learned that their efforts are not always understood, so they stop trying to contribute. As educators, how can we support our students' participation in collaborating to prepare and present information? Our goals are to provide ways for students with significant cognitive disabilities to be involved in discussions, to point out the value of their contributions, and to attempt to get them to expand on those contributions so that they can expand their own thinking and understanding about the various topics they will be presenting. Because the essential elements that address the development of presentations also involve collaborating with others on these projects, the module entitled Supporting Participation in Discussions will also be useful as you work to implement the strategies described in this module. There are several steps students go through when preparing presentations. The first step is to select a topic. Once that is done, students need to brainstorm as a group about what they know and what they would like to include about the topic. This may also involve engaging in some research to get additional information. For example, If students are preparing a presentation about the 1964 March on Washington, they already know where it occurred and in what year. But they might also want to learn about how many people attended, what happened at the event, and why it was so important. The next step is to prepare a draft of the presentation. Then, selecting audio, visual, and/or tactual materials the group feels would enhance the presentation. The last steps are to make revisions and work toward the final drafts. Let's look at each of these steps in more detail. When creating a presentation, the first step is to select a topic. If students have not had much experience with this type of activity, it is often difficult to choose something about which to present. It is important that students select topics that are interesting and meaningful to them. While topic selection may be constrained to a particular academic subject or a specific type of presentation, try to provide as much choice as possible. For example, if the students are going to do a presentation about a book they read in class, provide students with copies of several different books and let them choose. If students are going to present information about an experience they had, such as their favorite class field trip, provide a variety of pictures of students at those events and remnants that were collected to help them realize the range of choices and jog their memories. If you have students with visual challenges, make sure to provide tactual representations. When students are planning to work together to prepare a presentation, providing topic choices of shared class experiences ensures that all students will be familiar with all topic choices. By providing topic choices in a variety of formats, students may make their selection by saying what they want or touching their selection. If students are not able to use their natural voice to speak or unable to touch their selection, you may provide choices through partner-assisted scanning, where the partner presents choices and the student vocalizes, activates a switch, or makes a specific body movement to indicate his or her selection. Pause for Activity 1. Once students have selected a topic, support them in brainstorming what they know about the topic and what they think is important about it. If this is a research or inquiry presentation, students need to think about how they might learn more about the topic. Work with students to generate a written list of their information. You may help support them in generating ideas by providing pictures, objects, and/or tactuals related to the presentation topic. For example, if students are preparing a presentation about going to the school basketball game, you might help them remember the experience by showing them photos of the game and asking probing questions. One strategy mentioned in the module Writing, Information and Explanation Texts is to ask students to use their senses to describe something. Students could talk about how the basketball game smelled or looked, felt, tasted, and sounded. You might also encourage students by saying, "What else can you tell me about?" Many students may only say 1 or 2 words when responding. Our goal is to try and expand their responses, and we can do this in a couple of ways. For instance, if a student says ball when describing the game, you could say, "What about the ball? Tell me more." If a student typically speaks in one-word utterances, make sure that you model a way to expand the response. In the case of the student who says ball, you might then say, "Yes, ball game," or "Right, basketball." This is a copy of the first 40 words in the DLM core vocabulary. If you have a student who uses AAC to communicate, what could that student contribute to a list of ideas about a basketball game? The student might say, "I go" to report going to the event, "like it" to express an opinion, "he put in" or "he make it" to describe a basket. You can expand the messages of students who use AAC just as you do with students who use their natural voice. For example, if the student chooses the message, "like," you could respond by saying and pointing to the symbols, "you like" or "like it." Once you have a list of ideas to include in the presentation, work with students to organize the ideas. If students have difficulty generating or organizing the information, offer a few different options and let them choose. For example, students could do a presentation about what they saw at the game, and they might organize their ideas to describe what happened before, during, and after the game. If students decide to present information about what you need to play basketball, they might organize information about the necessary equipment, who's involved in the game, and what players need to practice in order to get better. As you organize the list of ideas, students may think of more information to add. As students prepare a draft of their presentation based on the list of ideas they generated, it is important that teachers focus on the content of what the students are writing rather than the form. As explained in previous modules, this is called writing without standards. The draft shown on this slide includes information that 3 students prepared about a turtle they had seen. These students collaborated with each other to determine what they wanted to include in their presentation. As you can see, they are able to write letters but are just figuring out how to spell words. Their teacher asked them to revise the draft by encouraging them to tell her more about the turtle. To begin the discussion about what to add, the teacher asked probing questions such as, what does it look like? What does it do? And what do you think about turtles? The group went back to work on their draft, first discussing what they wanted to add, and then working together to write the information. Starting as early as kindergarten, the essential elements target the use of digital tools to produce writing. Across the elementary grades, this is extended to publishing and eventually to adding digital media to support understanding. The goal of adding audio, visual, or textual materials to any presentation is to enhance learning, rather than just for the entertainment value or novelty. These supports need to blend with the topic and augment the information provided. Whether students use visuals, textuals, audio, or video to enhance their presentations, teachers may need to support them in deciding what to add. For example, if students are creating a presentation about the moon landing, the teacher might offer ideas for media examples such as the rocket launch, the moon landing, and the astronauts on the moon. Students could choose one or more of those options. The teacher would then collect 3 or 4 choices of each thing students want to add and let them choose from those options. Let's look more closely at adding media to presentations. Adding photos, drawings, textuals, or artifacts to a presentation can more fully illustrate an idea, concept, or a setting. Visual materials can also help students picture historical events that occurred before they were born. Adding audio clips or recordings to presentations can enhance explanations of different experiences or illustrate the sound of a particular speaker, event, phenomenon, or type of music. For example, audio clips could easily illustrate the sounds of different types of instruments in a band, noises that certain animals make, the sound of a tornado, or part of a historical speech. An audio clip can also enhance the mood of a presentation. If students were doing a presentation about Halloween, they could add a sound clip of spooky music. Because many students with significant cognitive disabilities may also have complex communication needs, students may decide to pre-record some narration for their presentation. This removes the time required to compose and access a message for students who use augmentative communication, since it can be done in advance. The availability of smartphones, affordable cameras, and online resources make it fairly easy to include videos in presentations. Students can record the steps to make something, the outcome of a simple experiment, or even a video of themselves engaging in an activity they are describing in their presentation. Presentations may also be enhanced by online videos, including materials that students cannot experience directly, such as recordings of animals in the wild, a volcano erupting, or past historical events. Students can present information in a variety of formats. Just a few examples of formats include a poster, a PowerPoint presentation, a book, a video, or even a live performance. With a poster, students could easily include text, pictures, textuals, and even a voice output switch to play an audio recording. PowerPoint gives students the option of presenting text, pictures, audio, and video. Books can be created in online formats or hard copy. Video and live performances could even include artifacts or representations such as objects needed to play a sport or the materials needed to create something. Although text might not be seen in these presentations, students would need to collaborate on a written product in order to plan the presentation and create their script. Pause for activity 2. This module has focused on strategies and formats for presenting information. The process of preparing a presentation is a rich learning opportunity for students that allows them to integrate many of their reading, writing, speaking, and listening skills within the context of a meaningful topic. The planning process includes discussion, collaboration, and choice-making. Preparation of drafts gives students the opportunity to explore the presentation topic, describe what they know about it through language and writing, and decide how to enhance it with the addition of media. Revisions help students expand their spoken and written language by providing additional descriptions and information. For more information about English language arts instruction for students with significant cognitive disabilities and the Dynamic Learning Maps Alternate Assessment System, please go to dynamiclearningmaps.org. Thank you for your participation.